Welcome back to the Future of Money Online Summit. My name is Richard Tabinger. I'm with Conscious Marketer and a co-producer for the event. Welcome to our talk today. And in just a few minutes, we have a real treat for you. We're going to be hearing from Michael Taggart, president of Cryptonomics. And before we get to that, I just want to make a few quick announcements. Earlier today, we heard from Kevin Harrington, who talked on cryptocurrency and entrepreneurship. It was a great talk. And also Peter Lucy, he's a hedge fund founder, and he talked on non-correlated risk and return. Both those talks are available for 24 hours. If you look on the right side of this page, if you're viewing this live, you can click on those and watch those for the next 24 hours. Now, later today at 4 p.m. Pacific time, we have John McAfee, who's a crypto influencer, world famous tech CEO, and pioneer of the commercial antivirus industry. You're going to want to watch that talk. Adrian Ashley is going to interview him, and that should be pretty interesting to say the least. And then at 7 p.m., we've got Andrew Keene. He's the editor of the Alpha Shark, and he's going to be talking to us all about different types of trading. So without further delay, I'm going to pass this over to the esteemed John Tarr. He's investor and founder of Totally Crypto. Welcome, everyone. Take it away, John.
All right. I'm esteemed now. It took me 8 days to get esteemed. I'm excited. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody, to the Future of Money, the world's largest live online cryptocurrency summit. And we're going to be jamming with Michael Taggart, who this is a special guest for us. I'll tell you why here in just a second. Before I do that, I want to share the disclaimer. Remember, the content of this summit is provided for informational purposes only, and it's not intended to provide any specific tax, accounting, legal, or other investment advice or provide the basis for any financial or investment decisions. You should always consult with a licensed professional to seek advice specific to your own situation. I also want to mention to you that you'll see a button for the cryptocurrency training kit. And it's a special offer that we've got going during the summit where you're going to get all of these talks over 40 hours with our 40 plus speakers, including this one with Michael. You're going to want to take advantage of that. There's also 25 speaker bonuses, as well as a bonus that Roger Bryan and I put together for you called the Cryptocurrency Mastery Training, and you're going to love that. So I think it's the best package out there right now, and you can have it for $297 right now. Now, I'm going to introduce Michael Taggart, and I'm going to call him Taggart, not Michael, so that's who I'm talking about. Michael Taggart is president of Cryptonomics, the company that authored the graphene blockchain, originally developed as the foundation of BitShares, and maintains an MIT license for usage. As a longtime evangelist for graphene technology and the BitShares platform, Michael travels the world educating businesses, students, and government officials on the capabilities and use cases graphene currently powers. As a digital marketing veteran, Michael is responsible for several $1 million of sales of educational material and SaaS platform products. Michael is a serial entrepreneur, public speaker, and internet marketing strategist who has advised tens of thousands of small businesses and individuals on the topic of digital marketing, with an overall emphasis on helping companies develop successful online business strategies. Dude, I couldn't call you Mr. Taggart. Welcome. It says Mr. Taggart. I'm like, I think that's his dad or something. I don't know.
I know. I look for my dad whenever somebody says that.
Yeah. So welcome. And Roger is here with us too. And so let me just give a brief overview. You've got an awesome presentation for us. I'm super excited about that. And then I've got a question for you. But before I get to that question, let's just talk for a minute. Max Wright, who was on here a few days ago, we all went down to St. Martin for a marketing mastermind. You were there. Roger was there. It was a very small group of people. And Max Wright talks about Bitcoin. And so that's the first time I'd ever heard of Bitcoin. How about you? Like, where were you at then with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin?
So I had been discussing it maybe 6 months prior to that in Austin, Texas, at a dinner with some other mutual friends of ours. It was Kevin Bombino and all those guys. And I was actually with Perry Belcher and a bunch of other people. And we were talking for a minute and we had dinner and he'd mentioned it. We talked a little bit about it and it kind of went past me. I looked at it for a minute, didn't really get involved. And then when that conversation came up in St. Martin with you and Max and Roger and us at the table, that's when I got my first Bitcoin and really got into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so awesome. So Roger, Michael, we all bought our first Bitcoin Easter Sunday 2013. Pretty exciting. And since then, we've been in and out of this journey big time. And Michael, I know you've been super involved. Roger and Michael were the smart kids at that mastermind, and Max is certainly a smart kid. And Kyle and I are like the sales dudes. We don't know anything about tech. And here you guys are sort of blazing this trail. Do each of you want to talk about, your thoughts of where we were that day and kind of what's become of this whole phenomenon?
Yeah, go ahead, Roger, and then I'll clean up there.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great question. And I was actually there in Austin with Kevin and Perry. It was for another mastermind, and Kevin was talking about it nonstop. And it's kind of like you heard it. You're like, okay, I have no idea what he's talking about, but it sounds cool. And then we get down to St. Martin, and there it is again. And it's like, okay, you know what? Screw it. Here's some money. I'm going to give this a try. Then you go back and you watch, and it trickles up. And you're like, okay, screw it. I'm going to put some more money in. Then we saw that big 2013 spike. You saw Mt. Gox. You saw the bottom fall out, and then you saw it stagnate for 2 years. And I think that one of the things that I heard from Tim Draper was his vision for what Bitcoin was going to become was on the other side of that Mt. Gox experience. It should have died then, but it didn't. And that's really where even I started thinking, you know what, if it can get through this and all of the things that it's been through recently with regulation, with transformation, with new projects entering the market, new penetration into Main Street and Wall Street, as each of these things happen, it takes time. We stumble, we fall, we get back up, but we keep expanding. And I'm excited to hear what Taggart's going to talk about with some of the amazing stuff that they're doing, because they're building on top of those core blocks. Mm-hmm. And those are the types of projects like us as a fund like to invest in. So like, I'm all ears to hear what Taggart's opinion is on this, but really excited to see all the stuff that he's been doing over the last couple of years.
So for me, like, getting involved in Bitcoin on that weekend, it's as you said, bought a little bit of Bitcoin and literally was watching 10 to 20% gains, somewhat even 50% gains every day for the rest of the week. And I remember coming down every single morning and looking at you guys at the table in the kitchen and going, "You guys see this?" And so I did something that I think 99.9% of every single person that I told when I did this told me I was absolutely insane. And I went and put like 6 figures into Bitcoin the week after we got back. And I mean, you guys can just imagine that was April of 2013. So then, going fast forward a little bit, and I started, day trading and stuff like that. And then I created some trading software so it would trade for me, and I didn't have to wake up in the middle of the night and see what China was doing. You got everybody that's listening to this right now is like, oh yeah, standard stuff. 2013, it was not standard to be freaking out like this, all day. So I made the software, and then, a lot of people wanted it. So, I sold it to them and let them, do their thing with it. But in that process, I realized and recognized what the blockchain and what decentralized distributed ledger technology really was, what it could actually do from a disruptive standpoint, not from a financial, I made a bunch of money because I bought some early sort of standpoint, but from a industry and technological disruptive standpoint, what I could do with it. And you guys both know me. I'm a person who revels in causing disruption and making people work harder and be better. And it's really just to push industries to perform better and to adapt or perish. It's really what it's about. So I recognized what that was very, very early. This is 5 years ago now. And set to task to create as much software services. Now they call them dApps, but we called them DACs back then. Decentralized companies, or basically applications that can ride on these blockchains and all this sort of stuff to create these companies and these services and these user experiences that can take advantage of the technology of the blockchain versus just, making a blockchain and making like a protocol layer for people to try to figure out what to do with. It's like the internet, you could do bulletin boards all day long, but until you had usable browsers and search engines where you could go find a bunch of stuff, it made it hard. And those are the dApps, right? Those are the DACs. Those are the applications that are being built on that protocol. So I understood that really early and decided Number one, I wanted to be the protocol layer that everybody was going to build upon. And number two, if I were to do that, I needed to make sure that we were industrial and commercial capable. So that's what we set to task first. And now we've just been building applications on there.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that because that's sort of been a common theme is, who's going to lay the on-ramps, right, to where this stuff is going to be applicable out there. So we'll get to that. Roger, hang out or bounce, whatever you want to do. I'm going to let Taggart do his thing. I'm going to ask you, Michael, a question. And then before I do that, I want to preface this. So with cryptocurrency, you have all these kind of factions, right? So you have the techie guy over here. Then you've got the libertarian guy over here. And then you've got the capitalist over here. You're unique because you're all of those guys. You're the techie guy, the libertarian, and the capitalist. So when I ask you this question, tell me what your thoughts are. We've been asking all of our speakers this. How do you think crypto will influence the future of money and the world?
I think 100% it's going to influence on such a socioeconomic level. Nothing that you've ever seen in the history of mankind, period. I've been saying that for 5 years, ever since I had the realization of what this technology can do. Absolutely convinced 100% that it is the most disruptive thing that's ever been introduced and ever will be, because everything is about money, but it's not about money. It's about energy output of a human person. Or, your life, basically the time that you takes and everything that you're doing, it's doing to earn something that you can show for it that you can then go trade around for other people's outputs. That's literally what we're talking about, the basis of all economic and social transactions in the entire world, in the history of man. And so for short answer, it's going to be staggering, bro, huge, monstrous.
Awesome. Good take on that. I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm excited to let you tell everybody what you've got going on. And here's the cool thing about Taggart is he's super techie, but he is a marketer, so he can communicate this in an understandable fashion. So I think everybody's going to have a lot of fun, watching you tell us what you're up to. Right
on, man. Well, so kind of going back to the story of discovering what this stuff was, and then I'm gonna show a presentation here in a minute. It really was us then, and I have recordings. I have these recordings of these meetings, and I literally am sitting there. I think everybody at this point, or most people know who Daniel Larimer is. He's pretty infamous at this point. EOS has raised close to, if not more than $4 billion now in a year. And he and I and his dad and a bunch of other people were having conference calls, years ago, talking about where this technology was going to go. And I'm now seeing over the last year or two, the iterations of the stuff that we were talking about actually happening, like websites that are powered by the blockchain, social media services and sites powered by the blockchain. For instance, Steemit, DTube, which is a decentralized YouTube. And it's basically like YouTube, except for whenever people comment or upvote the videos, you make money on them. It's amazing, All these things are going to happen and continue to happen. And so, we've been developing these things out like Steemit so people could get involved in crypto. Now, even if you only have $1 to invest in crypto, you can go to Steemit, you can make some social media posts, you can earn some money there, and you can then enter into the crypto market with that crypto money you earned. So you don't even have to take dollars out of your paycheck every day to go get involved in crypto and to change that paradigm for you. So along those lines, we started talking about another huge topic. It's been a topic for a long time, which is the gold standard, sound money, transparent banking, and actually having responsible banking. And that's been a huge topic, not just in the US, but in the world for a very, very, very long time. And one of extreme importance and interest. There's a reason why the Federal Reserve was created. There's a reason why we moved from the gold standard. There's a reason why there's so much inflation. I think everybody here could raise their hand right now and say, I understand that inflation is a hidden tax. Absolutely is on us. And if you don't understand that, go read the book, Creature from Jekyll Island. And I think you'll understand that very quickly. If you don't want to read it, go get the audio book and listen to it. But it is an amazing, amazing book that will teach you everything you need to know about the Federal Reserve money, the history of banks, and why all of that is important for society, not just from a financial perspective. So I'm going to dive into this particular presentation right now. Just give me a thumbs up. You got the screen?
Yep, I can see it.
Cool. Awesome. So what we started doing, now John kind of introduced me. I'm the president of Cryptonomics. Cryptonomics is a company that holds an MIT license for the graphene blockchain. Graphene technology powers at least 3/4 of all crypto transactions every single day, period. By the time EOS ramps up by the end of the year, I fully anticipate it's going to be 85 to 95% of all crypto transactions are going to be powered by graphene technology. That's a huge thing, and because we need to make sure that the technology is able to handle industrial and commercial purposes. And I'm not. This is not like a bashing any other technologies that are out there, but point blank is we can't look ourselves in the mirror and say that we're going to replace the banking system and global financial technology when we can't, transact at more than 20 or 30 transactions per second. Now, the technology we have can transact at much more, much higher speeds and more real-time basis. And that was really what was important in order to be able to create what it is that we have right here, which is, well, I'll explain it here in a minute, but it's really how cryptocurrencies are changing the face of real money, kind of what John was asking as the question earlier. How is it going to change things? Well, simply enough, this is what our money used to look like. This is one of the versions of it. And you could take this fiat paper currency and you could go and you can exchange it for gold or silver, right? So, people tend to think that there are only two types of currencies out there. There's physical cash and there's precious metals. But, in reality, and I'm saying this right now, there's been thousands of failed or forgotten currencies that are out there. German paper marks, Zimbabwe dollars, you name it. You guys can go out there and Google all this stuff. It's all been out there right now. Time and time again, the same trends happen to push currency values down lower and lower and lower. Pretty much inflation or hyperinflation, corruption amongst parties that are in that system, geopolitical crises pretty much can erase a currency's value in a matter of days. And it can cause collapses of banking and societies. Italy right now is just getting hurt. But we used to be able to be on the standard. Now, why this was important was because there was actually a floor value to the money that we had. Okay. And again, you're going to see the importance of that. And when you look at this particular slide, you're going to see a couple of different things, right? This is dollars in circulation since any ties to gold. And what you see is all the dollars being printed because there's not enough money or gold or something backing it in reserve, in order to actually take care of all the debt that's out there. So this is a house of cards. Everybody knows this. I really think so. If you don't, just go educate yourself. It's very easy. Creature from Jekyll Island is an amazing book that does educate you on that. It's relatively non-biased, but you could tell that the author is very not happy with the situation that has occurred there. So, currency supply in the United States has skyrocketed, especially since quantitative easing took place. And I believe the last quantitative easing code name was actually called, QE Infinity.
Can you tell everybody what quantitative easing is?
Basically just the creation of more and more money to inject into the system in order to, get more people to spend more money and to try to, I guess, prop this system of nothing up, for lack of better words. I mean, I don't really know how else to explain it, because I really want to simplify it for people.
Yeah.
Them printing more and more money, more and more pallets of money to them, give to more and more banks, so more and more of these dollars can get circulated. But everybody should remember right now, the current monetary system, if you have a Federal Reserve note and you hold that up and you look at it, you realize right now that that is somebody else's debt in a physical representative form. All money in circulation in that fashion, in that form, signifies debt. And so when you look at that, you are literally holding maybe John Tarr's debt on maybe the mortgage of his house, one piece of it, or something like that. That is what that signifies, okay? And so when more and more of that's in circulation, that means more and more people are in debt. If all the debt was paid off, there would be no Federal Reserve notes in circulation. So since President Nixon announced that the U.S. dollar would no longer be backed by gold, the banking system was pretty much catapulted to a state of perpetual expansion of credit. If a dollar is no longer backed by gold, what value does it truly have? It only has value to the person who's willing to accept it. Once everybody realizes it's not valuable or has no value, and they cease to accept it, it is worthless. And that's what happens. It's a mind game. It's a mind thing. Okay. So what happens to the entire dollar system every single year when more and more dollars are printed and created? If you compare a bill to an ordinary piece of paper, what are the differences between those? It's only trademark, watermarks, bends, and folds. Beyond that, there's nothing of value that backs that. So people are, I believe, and you've seen this movement in the U.S. more and more. I'm actually going to go back. People are growing tired of the system of unlimited debt. That's why, some of these projects that came out, these gold-backed projects, gold money projects, Bitcoin, were created because of the lack of transparency in the system. And people are tired of this unlimited debt type system that, for all intents and purposes, kind of chains everybody to it. Bitcoin and other blockchains were developed as a response to this system. And I think they're going to continue to grow as a growing response. But we wanted to make this we wanted to create a method or an alternative for people to use that was legal. Okay, that's legal for people to use, that they have confidence in, that is as transparent as possible and takes away as much risk as possible to use, and allow people to participate now in two types of systems. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. When there's distributed ledgers like Bitcoin and other types of blockchains, there's a limited amount of coins that are out there typically. Now, some chains can add more or not, but for the most part, it's relatively transparent. And some of them lock it down so there can be no additional creation. That's what's good about Bitcoin. But the fact that you can transfer Bitcoins anywhere in the world relatively quickly, what is that really backed by? That's the question. And again, I'm not here to bash on Bitcoin or anything like that too, but what is it really backed by? So a lot of people have different ideas about that. They'll say, well, it's backed by the power that is consumed in order to get the Bitcoins, mined, or it's the power on the hardware, or it's this and that. They'll say all of these different things are what is actually creating and making that value. But at the end of the day, what makes the value? The person who's buying it. They're the one that sets the actual value for that token. It's just that simple. So despite the fact that you can transfer anywhere in the world within a relatively reasonable amount of time, what is Bitcoin really backed by? What if there was a way to combine the transportability of Bitcoin or other type of blockchain-based currencies and the concept of backing that money with actual deposits that have a value? And that's really what the goal has been. So what we did is we took a look at the Federal Reserve. Okay, Federal Reserve is out there with their notes, and then there's the U.S. Mint, and the U.S. Mint has money too, and it's gold and silver based money. It's an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver, and there are these silver and gold dollars. Now, the U.S. Mint's been around for a very long time. Okay, 1792, so 225 years and counting. Well, 226 now. Right? And it is seen as legal tender in the United States. Now, this presentation isn't just for a U.S.-based audience. This goes for, majority of the world, if not all of it. Most of the world does see gold and silver legal tender, as long as it's in certain states. And by states, I mean minted or printed or stamped values. And some governments have regulations on who has the authority to stamp those values and things like that. But in this particular case, we've got the U.S. Mint here, and the U.S. Mint offers these options. And I think the U.S. Mint gold dollars, worth about $50. So we'll kind of use that as an example right now. So we've got blockchains, and we've got Bitcoin, and we've got this distributed ledger type technology, okay, that we can now transport a value or a token or something that denotes a value anywhere in the world if you use graphene technology within about 1.5 seconds is the median average of getting any sort of value anywhere in the world. So pretty much the speed of light. I can send $1 million to John on the other side of the world, and he's got it within about a second. Okay. And then we want to back it with something, right? Please do, right? We want to back it with something like gold and silver. And so what we did is we decided that we were going to take gold and silver minted coins. Now, this is particularly for the US. We've got, international options. Like I said, we were going to take these coins and we were going to tokenize them with the blockchain and basically allow people to have these tokens that denote a legal tender value that is stored somewhere in a vault that they can then access and spend like money and send around peer-to-peer or trade to others as a token that has a backed value outside of power or outside of, GPUs or outside of any of that sort of stuff. We're talking about a real physical value to it, okay? Now, it doesn't just have a physical value to it, it's got a stamp value to it too, right? It's two floors. It's two different values that you have to this token now that can be transferred anywhere and everywhere. And so what we do is we called it and we created this system called the Quint, or the Quintric monetary system is what we're actually calling it. Now, the Quint is what you see right here. That's a unit of currency on the system. We've actually got several different iterations of the Quint. We've got the Quint, which is a gold-backed, this is the US version. The Quint is the US version. It's a gold-backed currency. It's backed by the gold eagle. We've got a Quint S, which is backed by the Morgan silver dollar, okay? So both of those are seen as, again, legal tender in the United States. It's seen by the federal government as legal tender and also by other states, and we'll get there in just a minute. So Quintric is giving this alternative to a broken monetary system by offering gold-backed legal tender currencies. We've also got the iQuint, which is the international gold version, the iQuint S, which is an international silver-backed version as well. So there's those four, plus we've got a security type token called the Quint X, and I'll explain that here in just a moment. Now, every token that we have that is in circulation or that anybody has in their hand signifies and certifies that upon presentation of this token, 5 US gold cents will be payable on demand. Okay. Now, that means simply enough, if you were to show up at our vault with 1 quint, you would get 5 US gold cents. Now, we tell people that they have to redeem it an ounce. Okay, so if you were to walk in there and you redeem 1,000 quint, that's 1 ounce, and you would get 1 ounce of gold right there. Or if you have silver, 1 ounce of silver, or you know what I mean. So you'll get this coinage. You can convert U.S. paper dollars to quint by dividing the retail proof of the coin price by 1,000. So 1 quint is about $1.71. You need 1,000 quints to have an ounce, and that's the U.S. Mint published rate prices. Okay, you can go look them up right now online anywhere that you want to. So Quintric is unique in that it's a non-security token and it's not seen as a commodity because it is being stored as and used as legal tender under legal tender regulations and guidelines. Okay, the Quint and Quint S are payable for U.S. government minted coins, which do not fall under the securities umbrella or commodities umbrella. Gold eagles and silver eagles are also considered legal tender, meaning that Americans may use them as they can use paper bills issued by the Federal Reserve. Okay, so this is an alternative for the monetary system that you're already participating in, except for one of these systems signifies debt, is a debt-based monetary system, and the other one is a value-based monetary system that denotes value that is stored somewhere and can be accessed. Okay, think about that again for a minute. Debt-based system or a value-based system. And they each can be used in the exact same way. Which one would you prefer to participate in? That's kind of a no-brainer, I think, right? Right, John? I mean, if you think about that logically for a minute, why on earth would you store all of your asset value and basically spending power in something that has no backing, or would you put it in something that has backing?
Yeah, well, I think that for the majority of most people, they're banking on whatever sovereign nation is backing that currency, right? So, and there's the friction is that, some guys are like you're just saying, this is a bunch of debt. And other guys are like, well, I I'm cool with it because they're good for it. But, they're good for it till they're not good for it, right? Everybody's good for their debt until they're not good for it. And I think if you've ever been in business, you've been on that side where it's like, oh, that guy, he's stand-up guy, blah, blah, blah. But then circumstances happen that may have been beyond his control. And the next thing you know, he can't pay you. And that's when things start to get a little shaky. So I think it's an interesting thing. Here's a question for you.
Sure.
If all currency, and I'm sure you've got additional things, but if all currency is backed by this value, how do you like head off inflation and things like that with regards to, I mean, I don't want to spend it if it's going up so much. Like Bitcoin has kind of become this store of value. And we all know the $80 million pizza story, right? So it's like, how do you kind of manage that?
Well, a couple of different ways. First of all, you're absolutely right. Bitcoin's an excellent store of value, but it's a horrible medium of exchange. It's expensive to send around as a payment. It's slow in comparison to other technologies that are out there. Again, this is not a bash on Bitcoin. It's just, this is reality. I mean, if you can't take what I'm saying right now, I mean, it's just truth. There are other types of medium of exchange that are probably better suited for use as a medium of exchange. What I foresee now is these Quint being used and spent, because what we're doing is we're just liquidating a tiny piece of the gold reserves into a fiat currency through an escrow system when you swipe a card. So we actually give people cards that they can spend the Quint on, right? Then go to register and spend it, and we liquidate just a small piece of that gold. So it's not liquidating all of your gold. You're still being able to access the gold gain value, the melt value of that gold as it continues to rise, and you're only peeling off a tiny little bit, and it's a legal tender to legal tender transaction, okay? Think about that again. It's a legal tender value transaction to a legal tender fiat transaction, which means no cap gains. So there's a lot of uses for this system. Okay, and we can delve into that a little bit more, because I'll be answering some questions throughout this presentation on this sort of thing. But all we really did was that gold and silver eagles, as I said, are considered legal tender. That means that Americans may use them as they would paper bills by the Federal Reserve. So that means that Quintric has just tokenized these legal tender coins in the blockchain for convenience, transparency, and usability. That's all we did, is we just made this alternative to the Federal Reserve note way easier to use and to spend. That's it, and transparent. And it is 100% in reserve in the vault. So every single deposit that's there is 100% in reserve. So to answer your question about the inflatability of this system, there isn't, because it's a 1-for-1. For every dollar that's in there, there's $1 of gold backing it. Okay, and nobody's leveraging that. Nobody's saying, okay, well, we only have 50% deposits, we can leverage it and do this, and this. None of that's happening. The name Quint comes from the fact that 1/1000th of a $50 1 ounce gold eagle equals 5 cents. That's why the whole system's called Quint 5, right? So the Quintric system's based on this number of 5 all the way around. Another advantage, as I've been mentioning this, is that with legal tender, using legal tender such as Federal Reserve notes or a Quint rather than a security, if you're paid in Bitcoin and if the Bitcoin appreciates, as you just said, before you spend it, there's a capital gains burden that you have there, and it's a pretty big one. If the IRS right now is pretty serious about collecting the difference in value and has subpoenaed places like Coinbase and a bunch of other places. The CFTC just announced last week that they issued subpoenas on all of the major exchanges as well. Okay, all of their trading data, and I've actually been saying this for over a year and a half, that this is going to happen. The CFTC is going to issue out subpoenas to all these exchanges based on all of this different stuff, and that the SEC was going to see a majority, if not all, of the ICOs out there as securities, period. And this is all coming to pass right now. And we wanted to create a medium of exchange and a store of value type system that people could leverage and use while still staying legal, by reducing as much tax burden as possible and the least amount of legal exposure from a security standpoint for anybody participating in it. This has been something that I've been thinking about and trying to create with a couple of other people here for a couple of years. So if you look at the comparison of standards right now, you've got paper dollars and you've got, well, we'll just say Federal Reserve notes on the bottom, and you've got the actually back dollars on top. And this is because the gold standard was still there in the 50s, okay? But if you look at it right now, your home would equal this much, 37,000 eggs, 13.5 in lawful money, okay? And paper legal tender would be $13,000. The same house. This is the hidden tax of inflation right here that you see right here. Is you're literally seeing how much your money has been devalued in 60 years time. That is the difference of value, just based off of a debt-based system versus a system of value. Okay, so precious metals are first and foremost. The benefit of backing Quintric with gold and silver is precious metals are resistant to inflation, and this is one of your concerns you just mentioned. Over the past 6-7 decades, we're going to say that inflation of the dollar has soared, while gold remains consistently valuable, not just in the U.S. but internationally. So, as you said, people put their trust in the full faith and credit of whatever sovereign nation they, think is going to come out on top. That's fine and all, but when that nation goes down in flames, these other nations may not see that currency as valuable and back it anymore. But when we're talking gold, it's an international, worldwide recognized value, right? So while the dollar can fluctuate up and down, gold and silver remain sought after investments and instruments. Second of all, precious metals are the only commodities that actually extinguish debt. Okay, they eliminate it. When you pay fiat to eliminate a fiat debt, all you did was just shift that debt around to somebody else. Now somebody else is holding that debt that's out there. Okay, paper currencies are subject to interest rates, banking regulations, and the more we rely on money, the more debt is owed to repay the interest, right? So the more you're circulating that paper money around, the more debt you're actually creating in the form of interest. Now remember, interest is kind of a fraud in some ways, because there's not enough money in circulation to cover that interest. So it just adds to and adds to and adds to that sort of thing. Gold maintains its value. The more debt is owed to repay that interest that's out there for Federal Reserve notes is essentially an arbitrary cost for borrowing money, but gold will maintain its value. And the last part, I guess, to this is precious metals power economic growth. Stability and value of gold and silver can't be understated. The currency and banking rules continue to benefit lawmakers and bankers that are out there that create these systems of debt. Gold instruments can create stronger, more active economies that are out there. And if you doubt that, just go back and look at history time and time again, and you'll see the same thing over and over and over again.
So I have a real quick question just to put this in perspective for people that I think might give them sort of an overview. Do you know how much fiat currency is in circulation right now in the world?
Oh, God, I don't even know, but that's a really good statistic I'm going to have to look up.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, so I want everybody to think about this in relation to what you're saying. As here in the United States, we got off the gold standard, what was it, like 72 or 3 or whatever year it was. And so I don't know how much gold is out there in the world.
Well, there's a lot that's not dug up, and there's a lot that's hidden in places that isn't being accounted for. So there's
Well, I think if you do those two numbers, so like you look at this building and this house and that building and this dude's business and all the value of the stock market and all these things, right? But then if you tie that back to a hard asset, right, then you have a immense deflation. You have just prices will come crashing down because there's a lot of debt out there. And so I think that that's really interesting. I don't know if people are thinking of it like that, but, if you just tie things to actual value, it's a big difference.
It's a huge difference. And that's what that last slide really denoted was, if you want to talk about, because all money was is a medium of exchange. You may have ducks, I may have rubber shoes, I might not need your ducks, but I might need something else. So we have this kind of settlement currency on the in between to kind of help with that sort of thing. That's all it was. But this has gotten out of hand. I mean, look
it made it real. It was easier in the early 60s, so I didn't have to wheelbarrow my gold bars over to your crib, right? So it's like, hey, let's take a little of this.
Man. Yeah, it's a huge risk, man. Somebody's going to jump out from behind a bush and smack you over the head and take that wheelbarrow, you know?
Yeah.
And that's really funny because, you know, I mean, let's go back in history here. The Templars actually created the modern banking system and fiat currency systems and stuff like that when they were out there in the Crusades and stuff like that. And they wanted to move their values around and whatnot. What's really funny is that I believe what we've developed now with the quint, with this quintric monetary system, it really has gone full circle. This is now a system that it has been created now, but was under the intention of what money was supposed to be when it was made. You know, the paper dollars that were there were supposed to just denote the gold and silver that were in the vaults, and it made it easier to do business, to circulate these notes around, because, you know, you got the wheelbarrow of gold and people jumping out from the bushes to Jack John Tar,
right?
You know, but instead of that, you know, now you got these dollars, easier to hide, easier to conceal, you know, and stuff like that, and move them around. The problem is that now in the modern banking day and age, let's just say 15 years ago, John Tar, if you wanted to wire some money all the way across the world, it takes 2 or 3 business days. It takes this much fee. It's only Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And the banks actually slowed down business and slowed down the economy because of this, because there are limitations to the way it's set up and the way that they have it working. But with this system now, we can literally now, with the quintric system, transfer the value of gold and silver anywhere in the world in less than 1 second. Okay. Boom, usable, 100% legal, spendable at a register. And you can actually ask for gold and silver to be delivered directly to your house if you want to, by an armored truck. And they will come and go and drop it off, or you can go to one of the participating vaults and pick up your gold and silver. So now it is really what a bank was, which was you can go redeem it for the rocks or the precious metals. You can go spend it somewhere as a medium of exchange, and you can store it securely somewhere, and it's 100% transparent, and it's 100% on reserve. So it's safe, you know, actual responsible type of banking and system. And so what you're seeing on this slide right here is the fact that the quintric has a couple of different properties. It has the stability of gold, the accountability of crypto, and the convenience and legality of fiat currencies and legal tenders. Okay. And this is a big thing. And we actually we had a booth in San Francisco at the crypto conference. I was out there this last weekend. And my guys said that they didn't have more than 2 seconds to even think for themselves, because everybody was coming up to the booth going, "Oh my God, I can't believe you guys did this and figured this out." And I'll get more in depth in here in just a minute. But in the United States, well, first of all, let's just pack this up. Quintric was created by people who are passionate, and these are people that live all across the U.S. We've got people that are all over the place right now. I'm in Idaho. Our headquarters is in Alpine, Utah. We have an international headquarters. I'll go over that here in just a minute. Some members are in Virginia. Some members are in a few other states. All the gold and silver in the Quintric program, in the actual Quint program, is mined from American soil. So any of the U.S. tokens that are out there come from the United States of America, precious metals mined right here in the U.S. Okay. The second part to this is the U.S. Mint is required by law to produce enough coinage to meet public demand at all times, if you guys didn't know that. And so as we continue to acquire these coins from the U.S. Mint, they have to keep up with our demand in order to do this. Okay. And so we're tokenizing everything on the blockchain. You're welcome, you know, U.S. Mint. Quintric is regulated at a federal level as an Arizona-based trust. Okay, so it's a trust company based in Arizona, has to follow fiduciary responsibilities that are, you know, regulated by that great state. Founding fathers in the United States always, it's written in the Constitution, intended gold and silver to be used by the American people as a form of currency. Period. Go look at it. It says it right in there, 100%. And the Quint tokens are not subject to capital gains taxes when they circulate. All other cryptos, for the most part, are. Okay? This is another fact. A majority of states that are in the United States have not only reaffirmed gold and silver as legal tender. They have strengthened laws in their particular states to incentivize people to actually participate in using gold and silver as legal tender as well. So some of those states I'm going to name right now, but we're talking about Wyoming, which is an amazing state for not only precious metals legal tender, but also crypto. You've got Utah, you've got Louisiana, you've got Oklahoma, you've got Texas, you've got Kansas, you've got Georgia going that way. You got Alabama, North Carolina, Virginia. Look at all the states that are on this list right there. All the yellow ones right now have now passed laws to reaffirm and strengthen legal tender laws within those states, which eliminate, most of them eliminate cap gains. Federal government already eliminated cap gains anyways, but they also eliminate any state taxes or sales taxes in most of those cases. So think of that again from a standpoint of when you buy something, if you can eliminate those taxes, just the sales tax alone in your purchase. Is that good? I'd say, yeah, it's a good game. Yeah.
Yeah. It's big here. I know that it saved me about 11%.
Yeah. So for the Quint and the Quintess, these are American tokens. These tokens are circulated. They can be circulated globally and in the U.S. So an international customer can go and buy the U.S. Quints all day long. They're not barred from doing that sort of thing. The U.S. folks can't go buy the international versions because the U.S. is very strict on the regulations, and we're very, very keen on staying compliant with regulations across the board, making sure everybody stays in their jurisdiction, stuff like that. The U.S. coins themselves, they represent American Gold Eagles and Buffaloes and the Walking Liberty coins. Those tokens are redeemable on demand for its respective weight in gold and silver payable in legal tender coins. I want to make that 100% clear. And we can go over more questions later on as things go. So as I said, we call it the Quintric monetary system. These are the U.S. versions that are right there. We've also, as I said, got international versions, okay? And so we've got a headquarters in Ireland as well, in the middle of Ireland, in a place called Brenfi. It's a kingdom in the middle of Ireland. They've actually affirmed that the Quintric monetary tokens are sovereign currencies in their realm. So they've actually legally stamped documents and done that with us. And what we're actually planning on shooting a documentary out there in September for this project, along with the royal family of that particular kingdom, and talking about what it is that we do, what it is that they do, just kind of an interesting thing. Hopefully we're going to have it on Netflix is kind of the goal. Yeah, right. Anyways, we've got these international options. Since the start of the pre-sale, Quintrix attracted investors from all over the globe. We started this Quintric monetary system. We opened the doors in March. We've done well over 7 figures worth of sales just in. It's not an ICO. We're not doing ICO stuff or anything like that. This is plain and simple, responsible banking alternatives. And Quintric users can transact, as I said, anywhere in the world, peer-to-peer. We're doing a lot of really cool stuff. And I'll get to some of the other cool aspects. But if you look down here at the bottom, in that bottom box, we've got the international, the iQuint and the iQuintess. And those are pretty much circulating different types of coins. They're redeemable in the Austrian Philharmonic, the British Britannia, the Maple Leaf from Canada, the Chinese Panda, and the Australian Kangaroo. You can have those redeemable for any one of those coins on demand as needed, or you can just spend them, or you can you're going to be able to load these directly into your bank checking account or debit card accounts directly from our dashboard here. And so you can actually convert these into fiat just simply enough, just by putting them into your bank account. So this is kind of what the international coins look like. So if you wonder why it is that we did it, it's very simple. I think gold and silver have always been seen as stores of values traditionally throughout the history of man. If you look at the performance of gold, crypto, and other types of commodities that are out there in the recent years, we're going back about 7 years or so, you see gold has done amazing in just having some stability. And so that's another reason for people to really consider what type of banking they participate in. I myself don't want to participate in a economy that's based on debt. I'd rather also have all of my assets and all of my hard work and everything that I do based on something that I've got at least some sort of value that I can extract out of it, when it all comes down, or otherwise. gold is going to be one of your best bets. And this is just 7 years. If you look at it traditionally over, 1,000 years, I don't even want to see that chart, but you're going to see the same sort of thing. Gold's been amazing. Silver has also maintained some pretty decent stability as well too. I love seeing the Bitcoin, just that big, huge Bitcoin spike right there, though. It's just beautiful. You know what I mean? It's like a big punctuation on this whole distributed technology stuff, because it goes to show that there is an extreme value. Let's marry it with something else that has a historic value that people know that they can extract. So I get a lot of questions from people out there saying, if you compare other cryptos, fiat, metal cryptos, and the Quint, how does it stack up? And I'm going to wait till you see the next slide. You're going to really love that one. But how does it really stack up when it comes to what we look for in money? And I think what you look for in money are different things like, is it legal to use and spend? That's first of all right? You want to make sure that you can actually spend it legally and accept it legally. Is it spendable? Okay, do people actually want it? Will they accept it? Is it tangible? Right? Is it scarce? Does it have an inherent value to it? Right? You can use gold and silver for components, to conduct, all sorts of things. So that in and of itself, from a technological standpoint or otherwise, it has inherent value. Is it loanable? Yeah. Gold and silver, loanable, stable, no cap gains, transparent, and it's inflation proof, because you can't just poof make more gold. You know what I mean? And so if you look at across the board here, most of these other types, and these are very simplified down. I've got a great one that shows you the metal cryptos and cryptos on the next one. But when you look at this, you see flat out that you have to give up a little bit of something to get something else with the majority of these things. We've thought the Quint out. The other directors, and I'm a director at Quintric. I'm one of the co-founders and directors. Some of the other directors that are there are contractual lawyers and monetary law lawyers. They've helped these states that are in the United States pass these specific regulations and statutes to strengthen gold and silver. So the guys that we have on the team that are out there every single day working on this and meeting people and, creating these policies and these systems, and everything that we're doing here is all done by people who are extremely versed in this. They know state legislators on this level. The Attorney General of Utah speaks at the keynote address for these guys every single year, and it is a member of the UPMA vault, which is our partners on this. So I mean, this is some serious stuff, right? I mean, you think the Attorney General of that state would have probably looked into the system before he went and put his money into it, I would think. And so this is what we're dealing with the Quintric system. If you look at this right now, a lot of people will go, okay, so there's a lot of other gold cryptos that are out there, right? So I compiled a list of all the all the other precious metal cryptos that are out there right here for you. And you guys can see there's actually a ton of different cryptos that are out there that are either commodity-based crypto or a security-based crypto. They're tied to precious metals in some way, shape, or form. And this kind of breaks down the values and what it is and the differences between these, and we kind of broke it down into what is the base value in gold, if any, or silver, right? What is the price in US dollars? The Quint is always going to be at 1/1000th of the US Mint's published rates for gold, always, 100%. So it's going to be that stable face value and a stable melt value. Okay, there's a stamp value and there's a melt value of gold, and the stamp value with the actual sovereign, as John said, says that they will accept as that value. So this is a crypto that has two stabilized values. One's a pretty predictive value, and the other one is a relatively stable commodity type melt value. Token caps. Well, and we say token cap because there's supposedly, I think, $25 billion worth of gold supposedly in circulation from the U.S. Mint. Okay, or in the U.S. for this purpose. 100% backed by gold, so it's not it's not derivative, it's not on reserve or anything like that. Long-term stable values, convenient redemptions, because we'll buy back the gold and give you dollars within our escrow system for you. So you can go in and out of fiat to legal tender all day long. Domestic vaulting, it's here in the U.S. Privately insured, 100%, not by FDIC, which doesn't have enough money to cover all the banks that are out there anyways. Okay. And we have, look at that last one, live stream vaults. Okay. So we actually got a camera crew that are in there right now this week, setting up the live streams to our vaults. So you can literally, I don't know, do you have a bank, John, that has a live stream directly into the vault that holds all the money for all the people that are in the bank?
No, not to my knowledge.
Can you imagine any bank that would offer that service?
No.
So we literally are doing this, okay? So you can actually see inside the vault, and you'll be able to actually see that the money is there, the gold is there, that this stuff is really there, and we're archiving all of the video footage, placing it on the blockchain so it can never be deleted or erased, so you can see it forever, okay? So this is kind of what we're doing here is, and I'm kind of breaking down how the Quintric works in easy standards, but I fully anticipate some other folks are going to come out with systems that are very similar to this, because I believe is a huge value to it. Anybody who runs into this, again, at some of these conferences, and we're launching officially on July 4th, just so you know. So we're still in beta right now. July 4th is the official public launch. And then we're going to really come out, pretty hard on advertising and everything like that. Gold Quint tokens are priced on the current retail rate of gold-proof coins. So, if they go up or if they go down in value and they're the published rate, that's what the Quint's going to be available at and redeemable for. Currently, right now, proof coins are priced at about $17.10 per ounce. That's at the U.S. Mint. So divide that by 1,000, and it's $1.71 for each and every Quint that's out there. You need 1,000 Quints for 1 ounce. That's how it works. Okay. Generally, right now, the way that it works is that if you go and you vault gold or silver somewhere, you're going to have some sort of vaulting fees and probably some insurance fees that you have to pay for. That's a typical thing. We built those fees directly into the price of the Quint. And so you don't have any vaulting fees. You don't have any insurance fees for life. As if you have your stuff in Quint, it's covered. All right. So 80% of the premium that's paid on these coins that are out there goes directly for acquiring these coins, the vaulting fees, the insurance fees, and everything like that. Okay. And I'll let you guys kind of soak this slide in right now. But, if you have any questions right now, John, feel free to let me know.
Yeah. So here's a couple of questions, and I think this is fascinating to me. And this is one of these presentations that I'm going to have to watch a couple of times, because we didn't discuss any of this beforehand. And I like to not discuss stuff beforehand, because I like to sort of take it in as everybody else is taking it in, So it's pretty cool. One of the questions would be then, will the token be directly proportional to gold then all the time? So as gold goes up and down or whatever, not that it has huge spikes for the most part, but so it's always going to be tied to that.
Right. You'll put it this way. You can have your Quint and you can spend it however you want to, with the card or whatever. But if you ever want to redeem your Quint value out as gold or silver, you can redeem that value and get gold or silver out. And you can take that gold or silver to somebody who buys gold or silver and extract that melt value out right there. So short answer is, yeah, as gold goes up or down, you're going to be able to extract that melt value. That's why you have that melt value floor. And that's why I like this, is because we've got that stamped value that's the legal, sovereign, value that they recognize. And then we've got this melt value that you can extract outside of that value. So it's a double floor right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so for you guys, they're in what we'll call Quintville for right now. So the play that you have to get then is adoption. You have to get some adoption so that people start using this as a currency. Is that kind of your next steps?
Yeah, correct. So, we're working right now on some deals with some banks on utilizing this system. We've had to do some legal research on, obviously, the legalities of being able to do that. And we've come to the conclusion that we absolutely can do that. So, and we presented that to the banks and their people, and they're looking at it, and they've agreed that, hey, we can do this. So we're moving forward in talks like that. We've got ATM, crypto ATM, two-way bidirectional ATM companies that have developed some operating systems that are based around our technology, that they're going to be offering the ability to buy and sell, or basically purchase gold or silver backed tokens directly at an ATM level. And the other side to it is that right now, I mean, you can actually buy Quints right now. I'll give you guys a link here in just a minute. But you guys can actually go there if you want to participate, try it out, put a couple bucks in or whatever, just to see how it works. We accept debit cards, credit cards, wires, mailed checks by the, send us a check by post. You can do ACHs, and we accept crypto to purchase Quint. So if you think about this right now, John, Quintric really is a gateway to crypto, just like Coinbase is. Because with Coinbase, you can buy with your checking account, debit or credit cards, and you can wire money, kind of. But you can literally get into Quintric the same sort of way, and now you've got an in and out that is spendable legal tender currency that you can also redeem for gold and silver the same sort of way. And I anticipate, and my goal is to use and to make Quintric a gateway on-ramp for people to get into any type of crypto they want.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, some of the conversations that we've been having with people it's like, hey, you're going to tokenize your life, right? And so then it's like, okay, well, how is this tokenization going to get to everybody? So if I want to get a loan on my car and tokenize my Porsche, who the hell's going to give me the love, right? That's not a bank. And one of the big obstacles to that, just to point everything out to everybody, is this really, like, where's the way that it can play nice with the banks and play nice with the regulators and stuff like that. So I think what you've done here is pretty cool. And so my question was going to be, was that your intent? Was the intent to, from a libertarian standpoint, was it to solve the fiat problem, or was the intent to solve the ease to connect everything, or is it multiple?
All of it. We want to be the bridge between legal tender fiat, Federal Reserve notes, and legal tender gold and silver. We want to be the bridge between crypto and those two options I just listed. We wanted to kind of be the intermediary between all of them and allow people the ability to bridge between them, or to store their actual values in something that they can believe in, because this is 100% reserve on deposits. Well, period. And so when we set out to do this, we said, what do we want to address? What issues do we really want to address as problems? We wanted to create a token that's stable and resistant to inflation and volatility, because, that's the other problem is we see all these other cryptocurrencies that are out there, and it doesn't matter which team you're on. We're all on the same team in this. When you see your favorite cryptocurrencies going down in value, because what reserve or settlement currency are they really tied to? Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin goes up or down, it drags these other currencies down. And it is just, sometimes it's brutal to watch, because these other currencies may have, nothing should be affecting them that same way. Maybe the market, mentality of stuff, but the fact that just Bitcoin goes down, so it just drags everything down, that's a tough thing. So with just eliminating a layer of volatility by offering a trading pair like this, that is got a floor value to it, not just one floor, but two floor values to it. This is we wanted to have something that was a token that was legally backed by governments, something that's highly transparent to consumers, settles much faster than any other competitor that's out there, because that was probably one of the major problems with using gold and silver as a legal tender, was the actual settlement and the spendability of it. And it needs to maintain an inherent value in and out of the cryptocurrency sphere. Okay, because I mean the people who are involved in crypto we're a small amount of people in the overall majority of the world that's out there. So we need to have something that has a value in and out of that, a bridge between both of these worlds. So in terms of cryptocurrency industry, Quintric specifically addresses the wildly speculative volatility and instability, because you're always going to be able to extract at least a melt value or a face value out of this token. Okay. Now it may keep going up in value because of the utility of it, right? But you're always going to have those two floors. So
I was going to ask that question. So if I'm an investor and I want to invest in you, obviously I'm tied to gold. So, how can the face value go up? And here's my question. This is a grandma question, because I just don't know enough about it. So, but if you're going to constantly, if more money comes in and you're constantly going to be getting more gold to make more quint, then how, which is backed by gold. So it's not like you're printing quint over there. It's tied to the gold. But so then how can the face value of that go up? What's the causation for that?
Right. So face value stays the same. It's stamped on there. You're not going to be able to scratch it off, and add a zero or anything like that. So you're always going to have that face value. So whatever the face stamp value is, that's what's redeemable for all debts, public and private, as legal tender. But that melt value is going to be where you can take that coin, and instead of getting $50 for that coin at the bank, because that's all they're going to give you for it, they're not going to give you the gold value of that coin. They won't. Go ask them, right? Mm-hmm. But you can take it to a broker that buys gold, and he'll give you the gold value of that coin.
Okay,
right?
Cool. Yeah.
So that's how you do it. So as the value of that coin goes up, you can extract that higher value out of it. But from the legal perspective, if you want to sell a piece of that gold value, you just sell some of your gold value out of it. We tokenize it to legal tender, and then that's what's spent at the register for you. So you're always staying within the sphere, right?
Right.
Okay. We wanted to solve unwieldy, prolonged crypto settlement times because, there's times when you're trying to send a transaction and it takes hours with Bitcoin or Ethereum, especially when the networks are overloaded. And you guys can go, there's a site, I'll give it to you right now. It's called blocktivity.info. Blocktivity.info. And that site basically details out how many transactions per day certain blockchains do, what their historic all-time highs were, how basically congested their networks are right now, how many transactions are in the queue, stuff like that too. What you're going to see is 3 out of the top 5 in the most transactions in the world are our technology. And we hold the records for the amount of transactions per day, all-time highs. And every single day, again, we process 2/3 to 3/4 of all crypto transactions a day on our technology. So and the reason why is because we don't have those types of settlement times. It doesn't take hours. Every single transaction on our network is a median time of 1.5 seconds or less. Okay. Adverse tax treatment is another thing that we wanted to go ahead and address. When they made the determination that all crypto was subject to cap gains, if you were to go from fiat to crypto, that was bad enough. But then when they came out in January and they said any crypto to crypto transaction is cap gains too, oh my God. Tell me, guys, that's some tough stuff right there. So if anything, they literally made that determination right when we were right in the middle of building out this system. We started this in December, this whole system. And if you go into the website now and you check it out, this is some crazy stuff, because in our dashboard in the next coming months, you're going to have the ability to look at a live stream at where your lots of gold and silver are being held. You'll be able to, within a couple of button pushes, liquidate gold or silver in your Quintric account directly into fiat dollars in your Wells Fargo or Bank of America account that you can spend on your debit card. We're making this bridgeability and usability between all of these different systems to give a kind of an intermediary between all of them and give people a safe haven place to store their value. Let me actually go back here. When we address these issues, we wanted to address the adverse tax treatment. That's kind of what I had on here just a minute ago. Actually, let me see this. There we go. Actually, we wanted to talk about. I want to go back here to this one. There we go. The lack of privacy, right? The lack of transparency. These were all problems with the banking system. Fractional reserve obviously is just horrifying, and that's never worked out. No fiat currency in the history of man's ever really worked out. So just the absence of all that. I'll flip over to this side so you can see that. We really wanted to just go about finding ways to solve all of the monetary issues that we see here. Again, we've got very smart lawyers and people who've been working in precious metals and legal tender specific industries now for a very, very long time. But these are the issues that we wanted to address. We essentially, and I mentioned this right now, the live stream, the video live stream, we're going to be doing random audits. We'll be actually burning a token live on there, so people can actually go to the blockchain and actually see that that token was actually burned, to show the transparency between the two. As you asked before, people are asking about vaulting fees. No vaulting fees, no insurance fees. Non FDIC insured. It's actually privately insured by Lloyd's of London, who you can be assured did their due diligence and has been out there to tour the vault and everything like that. Because we can store up to $4 billion in our vault right now, and that's a little bit of money. We're hoping to fill it up relatively soon, but we've been on track since the beta launch in March, and we've done some pretty good sales. Now I'm gonna mention one last one right now, and then I'll give you guys a place that you guys can go and check out. I mentioned a fifth token earlier, and this is the one that I think people get excited about. Okay, because here's the kind of the crypto thing. Right now, it's only available to accredited investors. We've already sold the first 50 million tokens. It's called the QuintX token, QuintX. And simply enough, it's a token that denotes the total gross revenue of the Quintric monetary system. So if you're doing a transaction with the Quint, there is a small fee associated with the transmission or transaction between the parties that happens, whether you trade it or you send it somewhere or otherwise. Small little transactional fee. All of those fees are dropped into a fee pool. We call it the Quint Cash, CACHE. And that Quint Cash is then distributed as a dividend to all the QuintX holders every single month, or every quarter. So if you hold the QuintX, you essentially are holding a token that denotes a portion of all of the gross profit with the Quintric monetary system. Now you got to realize that means before the staff is paid at our vault, before any fees are paid for vendors, the QuintX holders are paid first. Okay, so they actually are able to participate on the gross value of the monetary system. It is a security. That's the only token that is a security in our entire monetary system that we have out there. And that's available, again, to accredited investors, to outside the U.S., anybody that's available to do any sort of investments, absolutely do that. Easiest way to get in touch with us is just contact us at our office. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. Call our office, Mountain Standard Time. You can email us, talk to everybody. And you can pretty much get involved there. You just need to ask, how can I get involved in the QuintX? And then they'll send you a bunch of paperwork, a bunch of legal stuff, and verify. They do KYC, AML. Just make sure you're accredited. Just follow all the normal regulatory stuff that we need to do. But for the most part, we don't really focus on the QuintX when we're talking about this to people, because that's kind of the security aspect of it. I really focus on the responsible monetary aspect of it, which is you have the ability now to store your value, your spendability, and all of the output that you have in life that you get paid in something other than these Federal Reserve notes that just denote debt of you or somebody else, and you can actually put it into something that denotes value. And that's really for me, that's really the most important thing, is denoting that value and being able to participate and have a choice between systems,
Yeah, as we finish up here, one of the things that I find that I found fascinating about this, and as we are on day 8 or 9 or whatever day it is, because I'm forgetting, but everybody's talking about, like I said, these on-ramps, right? Mm-hmm. Like, who's going to develop the on-ramps? Now, from a technology standpoint, that's one thing. But one of my fears for the crypto market, and I would say I'm pretty socially liberal, but I'm not a libertarian in the sense of, I think government has to go down, and I want to carry around the AK machine gun and defend myself. So understand this isn't a conspiracy theory, but one of the things I've been worried about, much like online gambling, is if sovereign nations want to, and I don't want to say stop the crypto market, but pause it, make it difficult. How they do that is they stop allowing fiat currency to come into the market, right? So that's how they do it. That's how they did it with online gambling. People are like, oh, they can't stop it because it's offshore. Yes, they can, because now all of a sudden you can't put any money in there, or it becomes very difficult to put money in there.
Right.
This solves that issue, which I think is really interesting and fascinating, is that, and then another issue So not just from that, but then I'm thinking, oh, well, you know, if I want to go throw some dough into Bittrex, well, I got to go through all these hurdles, right? This solves those kind of issues for exchanges. And so there's so many multiple uses. I think it's really fascinating. And I think if you guys can get, if you can get adoption of this thing, it's pretty badass.
Yeah, and we fully anticipate. I'm writing right now. I've got my team's writing smart contracts on multiple blockchains to interface with our Quintric dashboard. So it doesn't matter if you're on Ethereum, EOS-based chain, BitShares-based chain, won't matter. You'll be able to seamlessly move across chains and have these tokens that are interoperable between them. I'm not really. You can tell, man. I'm not playing around here. I'm looking right now to make this work not as an alternative monetary system that is, you know, seen as legal by the United States, but and foreign countries as well, internationally, but also, as you said, the gateway in and out of crypto, because they're buying and selling gold. They're not buying and selling crypto from us when they're buying this with a debit card or credit card or anything like that, you know?
Yeah. It's super fascinating, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know, I think that, so the address that you just gave, is that for the bonus gift or is that different?
That's for Quintric. In fact, that address, legaltendercrypto.com, if you just go there, you can just create a Quintric account for free. It doesn't cost you any money. You don't have to do any KYC or anything like that. You do put your cell phone number in there just as a SMS, kind of a 2FA sort of security thing. But other than that, just go create a free account there and just look at the dashboard, check it out. What we're doing is we're adapting and creating the user interface to be more and more friendly, very similar to, if not better than, what Coinbase has. And again, you can buy basically legal tender crypto now, and we're going to be in the next month or so launching a July 4th launch, where you'll be able to buy it, debit, credit, wire, send a check, buy with other crypto, stuff like that. And the goal is to enable people an on and off ramp in and out of crypto that's super stable, that they have a value in, that they know no matter what, the money's in the bank, and that they can extract it, and that they can spend at a register, and they can seamlessly interact between fiat currencies, cryptocurrencies, gold, silver, and legal tenders all in one spot, And then my free gift, which I have on this slide right here. So that last one was just legaltendercrypto.com. Just go create an account there and check it out. If you have questions, it's super easy. We've got, a support line that's on there, so you can call if you have any questions or anything like that. I write tons. I also write for Forbes and a few other places about crypto in particular, so you can kind of read a little bit more there. My special gift as a thank you is it's a 9-module course. You don't have to pay anything for it. You can just go to this address right here, which is cryptolearningacademy.com/SteamIt course. SteamIt is that social media blockchain-based site that was started a couple years ago. I'm a shareholder, just for transparency. I'm a shareholder at SteamIt Inc. And I do own some Steam, but I've for the most part just earned it on the platform, just to kind of show people how it works. And a lot of people will say to me, like, I just don't have money to get into crypto, or I don't want to spend my money into crypto. I got other things to spend it on. And I'll say, well, then go spend a few minutes every day over on SteamIt, earn yourself some coins, and just transfer those into any other crypto that you want to, invest in. So 9-module course. I've been doing SteamIt since it launched, and I've helped a lot of people make a lot of money on SteamIt. So check that out. And what's really cool about it is that you'll learn just how to get paid for blogging content on there, how to create an account, how to get started on the platform right, quick tips for getting started, obviously, how to earn, how to buy, sell Steam on there, security stuff on there, how to make the posts real nice, markdown cheat sheets, all that. And then at the end of that, too, you also get a 30-day trial to our Crypto Learning Academy. We've got courses on everything crypto you can really imagine or anything like that. Just check it out. Feel free if you want to. But the biggest thing I wanted to really, drive into people's heads is that this technology, and people like me and other people that are out there, we're out there building some really exciting stuff over the next few years. You're going to see all this blockchain technology in VR, virtual reality stuff. I've already got an augmented reality application I'm about to release with my partners here in the next coming months. We've got now legal tender, cryptos backed by gold and silver, different monetary standards. You've got people doing websites. You've got people doing YouTube versions. You got a Twitter version that's out there now that, you can get actually paid in crypto to interact and engage on. All this stuff is happening in remittances, money. I've been advising projects. I was actually an advisor on a project with John McAfee, actually. That's really funny.
Fun.
We actually advised on a project called Aristica, which is like a fun, it's like a fun app. It's a dare app. You just dare each other to do dumb shit, and whoever wins, whoever's the dumbest, whoever is the most entertaining, and that wins the big pot of stuff, and stuff like that. And now it's a really fun one. But you've got all these really cool things that are out there right now. I work with a company that now can assess a credit report or a credit score on anybody in the world without a social security number or even identification, just by an AI app on their phone.
Wow.
Within 15 seconds gives you a credit score, and then we'll give you options for loans that you can actually go and take. And then, just all sorts of crazy stuff. So
yeah.
Well,
it's awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know we went pretty long, but I didn't want to stop. I'd go for hours if I had the time. It's been so great, man. So appreciate you and appreciate you giving that Steam It bonus. That's awesome, man. All right, everybody. So, hey, Michael's presentation, or AKA Taggart, as I know him, his presentation is going to be up the rest of the day. You want to check that out. And remember, you can get a recording of that. And recording for every single person that comes on the cryptocurrency live summit here. It's called the Cryptocurrency Training Kit. Videos, audios, transcripts, and bonus gifts of all the speakers for only $297. You can probably make that back in Steam from Michael's training. So make sure to pick that up now. It's $297 for the duration of the summit, and then it goes to $497. We're going to be back with you here in just a few, as we've got more great speakers coming up. Thanks, guys.